Hey, it's Scott ROCKFILE back with another podcast review for you. Let's talk about the 1975 movie Shivers in its new Lionsgate Steelbook edition. This is David Cronenberg's very first real movie. He made a few underground movies before this, and after making two that were fairly successful, silent films that had narration after, this was his first movie with an adequate budget. I say adequate. It was budgeted at $179,000 Canadian in 1975, which probably in modern times is almost $1 million. The movie went on to gross $5 million, and that's why David Cronenberg has a career. There was a critic in the beginning that said something bad about this and some of his earlier movies that really stalled his career for a while. There are some great extras on this new Lionsgate Blu-ray. It's not a 4K. Doubt this movie's ever going to get a 4K release. It's a pretty rough-looking, low-budget film. This is pretty much the same disc that Lionsgate put out a few years ago. I don't know if the extras are the same or not. I don't own the original. This was a movie I didn't see until the late 90s when it was finally released on DVD. It was something I had heard about, this one and Rabid, his second movie, before he got into making things like Videodrome and all the movies he made after. So as a fan, when I saw that Lionsgate would be releasing this movie in a new steelbook that was coming as a Walmart exclusive, I was like, all right, here's my chance to revisit this movie, right? Because I had never picked up a Blu-ray copy. The steelbook is very nice, by the way. And for those wondering, Lionsgate on their first pressings are putting that laser etching first pressing in where your fingers go to pry the book open. That was something that Best Buy was doing when they do these exclusive steelbooks. If you bought it as soon as it came out, you got that first pressing laser etched those words on the inside. And then for subsequent releases, you did not get that. That wasn't on them. And I compared it like Walmart just re-released the Lionsgate American Psycho steelbook that was out of print for a long time. Did not say first pressing on it, but the Shivers one did. So there you go. If you're into that kind of stuff, now you know. Shivers is a low-budget body horror movie that predates Alien with some of its chest-bursting kind of stuff. Matter of fact, Dan O'Banion, who wrote Alien, said he was a big fan of Shivers, and maybe a couple things that happened in Shivers might have worked its way into that script. It is low budget, but if you're a fan of David Cronenberg, you have to see this film. All of his trademarks are here early on. Not shying away from violence, not shying away from the weird, showing everything that happens. Some of the camera shots, even in the beginning when they drive up to the place, there's a couple looking at this place where all the action takes place. The camera angle from them getting in the car and walking in was just like, wow, that's so much better than anything that would be in this kind of budgeted movie. I thought it was pretty entertaining. The best thing about the movie is it creates this kind of feeling of dread, this feeling that, oh, this is not going to be good and it's going to get worse. But it's also a little R-rated. There's quite a bit of nudity in the film, and there's not one bra. I gotta love 1975 film that doesn't have a single bra. Well, maybe the old lady was wearing a bra. I wasn't sure about that, but every actress in the film, not one bra amongst them. So if anybody wants to bring back some things from the 70s, how about we bring back the no bra thing? That was really good. There's no huge actors or actresses in this film, but I thought everybody did a pretty good job with it. There's a couple places where it's like, that was a little amateur, but this is kind of an amateur production. It was done with money from the Canadian government. Like I said, they had $179,000 budget, and it went on to gross $5 million. That's pretty good. As David Cronenberg says in one of the extras, taxpayers were complaining that they made a horror movie, with taxpayer money, but by that time, by the time people were complaining, they had already given the money back to the taxpayers with a profit on top. So he had no complaints about that, and it basically jump-started the rest of his career. Some people just tuned in to what he has to offer, and, well, to this day. One of the movie he made right before this, what was it, Crimes of the Future, that's the same title as a movie he just did last year, Crimes of the Future, but they're just loosely related. They're not a remake or anything like that. So Shivers tells the story of basically, and I don't want to give any spoilers because you might watch it, a disease, a parasite that goes from person to person and turns them into a very sexual being who really won't take no for an answer and then proceeds to infect the next person who infects the next person and so on and so forth. It doesn't have a lot of gratuitous sex scenes in it. There's a few nude shots and like I said, a lot of women without bras on to give you that ambiance of a kind of a sexual horror movie. But this is David Cronenberg, and he doesn't capitalize on the sex as much as he does the violence and some of the other stuff. That's just always been his thing. So if you are a Cronenberg fan, I would say put Shivers high on your list. If you're anybody else who just likes old horror movies, there's a lot better versions of the story out there. It's not bad, but I wouldn't highly recommend it. I basically recommend it for David Cronenberg fans to see where he started, to see the first movie he actually had a budget for, that he could actually make something that he really wanted to make. There was some studio tampering with a couple of his films, but for the most part, most of his career, he's been able to do what he wants. So if you want to see where movies like The Fly came from, it definitely came from movies like Shivers. The steelbook is very nice. It's got a great design, kind of based on the poster, but it's very green. It's only got the single disc in there. The extras were actually surprisingly good. There is a interview with him from 1998 that was also very illuminating. It was probably done originally for the DVD release. But there are new interviews with David Cronenberg, the special effects guy, and a couple others that were actually... It's a decent little package. Now, this is a $20 steelbook at Walmart, but before it came out, they dropped the price to like $11. So I went ahead and pre-ordered it then. It's back up to $19.99 now, but if you wait, maybe they'll put it on sale at some point. Or if you want it for your collection, I would grab it with that first pressing etching on it, so you make sure you get one of the first ones. But Shivers, my favorite movie of all time? No. Decent horror movie? Yeah, not bad. Early Cronenberg work that must be seen by fans of Cronenberg? Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of those films where you just see everything that he becomes, the little bits and pieces of the movie. You're like, oh, he's definitely gonna that leads to this, that leads to this movie, there's a lot in this movie that leads to his other movies. Shivers, now available in a Walmart exclusive Steelbook edition, also available on a Blu-ray that's been out there for a while. Both are not very expensive if you want to check out this movie, but like I said, unlike some of the smaller horror movies I've reviewed lately, this is not one I would go seek out unless you just really want to see an early David Cronenberg movie. The special effects are all practical. It's pretty bloody in places. There's some things erupting out of people and things like that. And if you're into that, then this is a very early example of David Cronenberg's work, and I would recommend it as that. But as anything else, well, there's a lot better horror movies out there you could watch. So Shivers gets a partial recommendation to those who would be in the mood to watch it. I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE. The video was pretty good. It was grainy. It was older. The surround was not in surround sound. It was in a mono or a stereo. It was fine. It definitely wasn't something to write home about looks or sound-wise, but it was a better version of the movie than I saw on DVD back in the day, so I'll give them that. So Shivers, it's now available. Might be your cup of tea if you're a Cronenberg fan. Scott, I'm ROCKFILE. More podcasts are on the way. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen. Have a spectacular rest of your day.